Hey everybody, my name is Delzar Slit, and today we're gonna be doing a reaction video. Yeah, I know, right? How surprising is that? Because that's what I basically do. But at the same time, hey, let's have a great fucking day, okay? Thank you. I hope you're having a great day as well. Anyways, we're gonna be getting into film theory, which is pretty neat, MatPat, all that shit, and everything else. So, well, number one, this is on the Amazing Digital Circus. So I hope some of y'all are pretty fucking entertained by that series because I'm really looking forward to when they start dropping episodes. Although I'm a little bit worried about, if it maintains the hype that it's kept. But I trust and I believe in the creators. Anyways, let's keep going. What you got to say, Matt Pat? What's your theory? Because, obviously Kane is untrustworthy. Circus is lying to you. Yeah, like we do. Yeah.
There is no escape.
There isn't.
Ever.
I've already made my own little theories during my reaction, which some people have noted in the comment section was a little bit wanky because there was little bits of glitching in the beginning of my reaction, so that I didn't get the introduction to them, so I just got cold opened. But the links will probably lead you in the description, or there'll be a little card or some shit if I remember. If not, just look up Delazar Digital Circus or some shit, right? But this is film theory. This is what it is. So where the fuck you going with this? Really?
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that'll be theorizing day after day after day after day after day, and we don't know why. Let's talk about the Amazing Digital Circus, shall we?
You, my friend, stumbled into an incredible world of wonders where anything can happen except for swearing.
Really?
Oh my god.
In case you aren't caught up with this one, this is the latest series from the creative geniuses over at Glitch Productions.
Yes.
This one was written, produced, and directed by Gooseworks, a talented artist who also composed music for both Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss. And their creativity and experience.
I didn't know Gooseworks did that. I knew that Gooseworks had like characters. I knew he did a bunch of stuff, but I have never really checked out their shit on otherwise.
Really come through with this one. I gotta say, you guys went crazy recommending this one to us across comments, GT Live, and our subreddit, and it's pretty darn easy to see why.
Like
Between
set
the
up for you at
amazing
this
animation, gifable moments, and incredible cast of characters, and a storyline wrapped up in like 18 different layers of mystery, this is the perfect show for us to dive into. Which means that if you haven't watched the first full episode yet, go do it. Watch it after this theory.
I already did. I'm ready, motherfucker. Let's go.
Because this thing already has like 30 million views across the platform.
50 million.
Mighty well for itself. But just so we're all on the same page for today's theories, the pilot follows a woman named Pomni, who's thrust into a strange digital world styled after a circus, alongside 5 other humans. Jax, the lovable jerk, Ragatha, the sweet optimist, Gangle, who can't hide her emotions, Zubul, who's made out of a bunch of random objects, and Kinger, who's been trapped there the longest and has gone kinda crazy as a result. The whole circus is run by a ringleader named Kane, who according to the show's website is a, quote, wacky AI, and all of the humans are just subject to his
I like the idea that he's an AI purely because I also like the idea that, well, they're kind of stuck there, but I think it would be a true fucking mindfuck in the glitch way of just saying, fuck you and everyone who ever wanted to exist. What if instead of their minds being trapped, they're only just copies, Like, I genuinely believe that it's better if they're just copies of themselves. It'd be interesting that way, to find out that, wait, so we can't leave and we don't have bodies because we don't exist? And the true existential dread hits you.
every woman desires.
Gadzooks, you're right, Jax. We should have a brand new adventure for our new member,
that's what we're doing,
Pomni.
I said that like 5 minutes ago.
However, the humans don't necessarily want to go on these adventures, and they're constantly trying to find ways of getting out. This has even driven some of them insane, leaving them abstracted, where they devolve into monsters. Case in point, the clown Kaufmo was obsessed with finding the exit, and abstracts just before Pomni shows up.
Oh, Kaufmo's been obstructed. It's okay. What is that?
And yet, even when Pomni does get herself to the exit in this pilot episode, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just endless hallways and office spaces repeating. It is basically the back rooms. As it turns out, Kane made this fake exit, hoping to give the humans what they wanted. He just didn't know.
I think, honestly, that if there is a way for them out, it's just running out of the void. But there's no way in hell they're ever going to escape Kane because of how much control he has. Though I do believe that Jax has some form of administrative controls, just Just saying. The dude has too much knowledge, too much leeway, and too much of a trickster asshole vibe. I love him. I hate him. I wouldn't want to ever actually interact with him because I know I'd have to punch him and then he would probably fucking speed around me and knock me upside my head. But I'd fucking try to box up with Jax. Like I wouldn't take a shit. I'm sorry. He's too annoying.
Know what to put on the other side.
I do have to apologize
Although
for
I do find it interesting that the first exit that she saw was orange and the ones that she came in and out of were red.
lying about the
Unless I'm
exit. I was having
misunderstanding.
so much trouble figuring out what to put on the other side and ended up never quite finishing it.
And more or less, that's where we leave the colorful cast of the Amazing Digital Circus after this first episode.
But
Now,
I think we
already
also
there's
could be
just
lying
so much
about the
world
red
building
ones,
here
too.
for us to dig into. So many questions posed that we want the answers to. Like, who's behind the Amazing Digital Circus? Is there an actual way out, or are they just trapped forever? Are characters like Kaufmo really gone, or can they be brought back in some way? And
Nah. The only way to bring back someone from madness would be, therapy and self-evaluation and help of the mental variety. They're not getting that there.
Sorry to say, I don't have a whole lot of answers for those things. Not yet. For as much as Glitch and Gooseworks packed into the first episode, they've done the wise thing and not given us a whole lot of answers. But I do think they've given us plenty here to theorize about. So here are 3 Amazing Digital Circus theories. Don't
Also, is it weird to say I love and hate some of these color choices? I can understand and I can live with this. This one bothers me for some reason, but this one makes me want to throw it.
run for the exit doors yet, my friends. We're going in. Let's start things off
Bring
a bit
them
small
back
scale
through
here.
backup
Theory number
copy.
1,
Oh my
everything
God.
in the show is literally a video game set in the late 1990s. Now, there's a lot in just this one episode that paints this as a video game world. For example, right at the beginning, we see a pixelated title card for the show that's obviously in the style of old school PC, PlayStation, and N64 games. This is further driven home in a secret video that you can find if you go to wackywatch.com, a URL shown on screen during the episode, which shows us
I
the main
never would have
menu.
even thought about this. It was really neat watching this when Matt Pat did it. Oh, and yes, I have watched the fucking Matt Pat reacts to this. Okay? I did that. I didn't stream it because it seems kind of redundant to stream someone else's reaction as a reaction, Also, it's an hour, and you know that I basically make double the length of whatever the fuck I'm watching, or I add at least a chunk to it. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to shut the fuck up for a little bit, Even though I'm already going to be talking out loud anyways, I didn't do a video on that, okay? But I am doing it on this because I want to hear what his concise thoughts are and not just only his raw ones.
You for this game. We also see a flower pot fall to the ground and clip into it, kind of like an old school source engine glitch. Kane mentions that he created the digital world in the weird backrooms office area in a
that
way
is
that's
fair,
very similar to
JJ,
how a game
as
developer
well.
would create world spaces. Plus, when Pomni first enters the world, she says this.
I put on some weird headset and now I'm here.
Again, directly implying that the whole thing is a game. She put on a VR headset and was transported into the world of the digital circus. All of that checks out and should.
And I'm thinking, what if this could also be another fucked up thing here? What if... Give me a second to think, okay? What if it's not that they are just, the leftover? What if the reason why they are left over from the previous person is because whenever the actual players put on the headsets, they can access all this extra memory and stuff, right? And when they're playing the game, they get access to all this. But when they take off the headset, they don't feel so stressed. They don't feel like they played the game for so long. Because those added memories are left in the game. They are literally the catch. They're the unwanted files of the brain. It would explain why they remember putting the headset on and they don't know how to get out. Because they are literally the information left over. Like, that would be fucking awesome. I'm probably reaching like a motherfucker. But come on, man. I got an 8-foot wingspan of arm length. Come on, let me reach a little bit.
should be pretty darn obvious to the casual viewer. But what you might have missed is the fact that this is set in the late 1990s and not the present day, like you might expect from something talking about using VR headsets. And there is a lot of circumstantial evidence that points us to this conclusion. First of all, basically all the tech that we see throughout the series seems to be pulling straight from the 90s. Anytime we see a computer in the show, it's always the white boxy styled CRT monitors and large white computer towers reminiscent of models made by companies like Dell and Gateway back in the 90s and early 2000s. And this is both in the actual episode and in the off-site material as well. In that same Wacky Watch commercial, we see a real-life computer with the same old-school design. What's more, the beginning of this Wacky Watch video says that this was an old tape recovered on a date that's censored. And given the degradation on that tape, it implies that not only is this video old, but it was also recovered in the past as well. But this goes beyond just the tech that's used in the series. Many of the characters and iconography from the show are very reminiscent of popular characters and ideas from the late 90s and early 2000s.
I really did not expect MatPat to just straight up be able to remember and recall the information that he recalled during that video. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm gonna probably try to leave a link to this video in the description and also to his reaction in the description because I'm gonna keep making references to both of them. But I did not expect him to be able to just recall off the top of his head the White Rabbit and dog character. I don't remember names well, but I remember designs well. Like he was just pulling off at the top of his ass, like really just like information, theories, clues, like that. That's how the fuck I feel with MatPat, man.
His gesture design takes a lot of cues from Sega's old Nights into Dream series. Jax shares design inspiration and a similar name with Max, the rabbit from the Sam & Max games. Bubble clearly takes cues from Super Mario's Chain Chomps. Jax and Gangle were both inspired by characters like Poppy the Performer, an old Japanese 3D animated series, while Kane and the Digital Circus setups very reminiscent of the villain and plot of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, a short story by Harlan Ellison adapted into a point-and-click adventure game in 1995. Any way you slice it, it's very clear that the creators want the show to have the same 90s vibe that we're all so nostalgic for right now. But you might be thinking, hold on, they're talking about VR headsets here. That's a modern thing, right? Wouldn't this thing just be inspired by the 1990s rather than set in the 1990s? That's a pretty good call out. A lot of advances in virtual reality technology have only been made across the last decade, especially when you're talking about gaming. That doesn't mean that VR technology didn't exist back in the 1990s. And I'm not just talking about the rudimentary black and red wireframes of the Virtual Boy either. Back in 1991, Sega announced the Sega VR. In 1993, Virtuality created the Mega Visor display, and in 1995, Fort Technology hit us with the VFX-1 headset.
These Tron Legacy ass designs, I love them, although they're clunky as fuck. Okay, let me just think. Okay, drone. By the way, I talk random kink shit. If you're under the age of 18, get the fuck out of my videos. But VFX, this one looks cool. I kind of like this one. I like these two the most. This one's trash to me in design. This one's also bad. I take this one. This one's good.
Just to name a few. And looking into old footage of all these things, it doesn't look too dissimilar to the sort of world that we see in the amazing Digital Circus. Simple flat textures, rudimentary shapes, and polygons. There's not a lot of detail here, but that's for good reason. These headsets, they couldn't handle a lot of detail. True story, I actually have some first-hand experience with these rudimentary headsets. The Great Lakes Science Center in Cleveland, Ohio actually had a special exhibit on VR technology in its basement when I was a kid, and it blew my mind. With the amount of wires and cables these things took to run, it
MatPat is Kane confirmed. I need this shit trending on Twitter now. MatPat is Kane confirmed. MatPat is the true runner of the Digital Circus. You see, he was the first one to get put in. There's not a byte of 87. No, there's the install of 85.
Felt like you were jacking into the Matrix, and you had to wait 45 minutes to put on one of these headsets, but all of a sudden, you were dropped into a video game. It was simple. I was walking through a purple field with a bunch of green triangular mountains in the background, and it was effective, and it captured my imagination for decades since. So much so that even though it was a 5-minute experience that happened in my life like 2 decades ago, I still remember it vividly to this very day. Anyway, MatPat childhood stories aside, the long and short of all of this, everything that we see in the series is pointing to this taking place in the past, and not in the present. All of this has already happened from our perspective, perspective, we're just watching the events of the game unfold. So now that we know that we're in a 1990s video game here, let's dig a bit deeper, shall we? Theory number 2, Pomni helped create this hell simulation that they're
What?
currently stuck in. It's a pretty bold claim, so what would make me say
Where's
that?
this coming
Well,
from?
A couple of things. Firstly, one of the scenes that really jumped out to me while I was watching and rewatching the pilot was the sequence where Pomni's running through the back rooms on the other side of the exit door.
Oh yeah, no. If it is in my theory, which is that they are extra data that's been just kept around, it could be said that the best way to torture said data into stopping finding a way out is to torture them with the lack of the knowledge of what they know. Or in other words, let's give them a bunch of shit that they should know but they can't recall and torture them with it.
At one point, she enters a more traditional looking office space with computers and cubicles before stopping and staring at one desk in particular. This is played as a big moment. We linger on this shot for a long time as a classic horror-esque dolly zoom hits both the desk and Pomni before she has herself a psychological break. The lights start to flicker and she cackles uncomfortably before running on. The whole thing is really menacing and off-putting and clearly meant to leave us with a big impression. Why? Well, because this desk isn't just some simulation that Kane cooked up in the back rooms. It's based on a real place in the real world of this universe outside of the simulation. A place that we actually see in the episode. At the very end, right before the credits roll, we zoom out of the circus and through the void, revealing that all of this has been taking place inside of a computer. That makes sense. We've already established that this right here is a big old simulation. But take a look at the computer and the desk. It's the exact same setup that we saw earlier in the episode in the backroom section. The same old equipment on the left, the same file cabinets on the right, the same retro monitor and keyboard
Chairs
and computer tower and speakers, the same VR headset and headphones. This is exactly the same, but clearly this one's in the real world. Not only have we literally zoomed out of the computer, implying that we're no longer in said simulation, but the lighting in the scene is much more natural. It's warmer. Sunlight is streaming through the nearby window, all at an angle because the sun's lower in the sky. This is not the flat computer simulation lighting that we've been seeing throughout the rest of the episode. That right there, the desk and computer setup existing both in the simulation and in the real world, is already a pretty interesting point, but why then would it break Pomni? What causes her to go off the deep end and start laughing? Well, I think that subconsciously, Pomni recognizes that this is her desk. At the beginning of the episode, they make it clear that Pomni has lost her human memories. But this, I believe, is triggering a deep realization inside of her. Based on what we're given here, I believe that Pomni's human persona is an employee at CNA, the company developing the digital circus game and VR headset. And seeing it here inside the game unlocks some weird flash of her memory as to what's happening to get her into this situation. She's trapped in the very game that she helped to create. It's ironic, hence why she laughs. It's funny. It's darkly funny. I can see this being a huge reveal down the line, and one that could be potentially devastating for all the rest of our characters. For Pomni, obviously, but also for all the other characters who are trapped in here who would...
Okay, I just got a really weird message. Hold up. Give me a moment. I'm gonna make an awful decision after this. I'm about to make a bad decision. We're halfway through this video. We're gonna. I'm gonna finish out this video, and then I'm gonna. Someone just sent me a number that I know isn't their phone number, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? Uh, we're gonna be calling a mystery number after this.
would be seeing her as the one to blame for their current imprisonment. Also, real quick, super short micro theory. I don't think we have enough information to figure out what the initials in the company name C and A stand for, but one possibility
Cain
that
and
did
Abel.
jump out to me, it could potentially stand for Cain and Abel, partially named after the AI ringleader of the simulation Cain, which could then lead itself to a lot of interesting story possibilities. You see, Cain and Abel are a pair of brothers who are the sons of Adam and Eve, with Cain ultimately killing his brother and creating the first ever murder in the world. Anyway, you know how we love ourselves a good biblical reference here, and I just wanted to mention it in case we get more clues in future episodes. But something we do have more than enough to say about, theory number 3, all the characters aren't actually humans trapped inside the digital circus. Instead, they're all digital copies of the brains of humans who've put on these headsets,
this is the one that I like,
and then forced into the simulation. Now this is a pretty big swing. I mean, Pomni's first line of the series is practically, oh no, I'm a human who put on a headset and now I'm trapped here. And then Cain follows it up with this.
My, it appears a new human has entered this realm!
Human.
Why would you tell, if you want them to stay as compliant AIs, why would you break their sense of humanity? Oh, of course you're human. You must be a human, otherwise you wouldn't be here. In reality, it is, why would you be human? Why would a human be here? Do you have human biology? Could a human rip their eyes out like you do? Does a human have bones that bend and contort in the ways you do? Do you glitch? I'm just saying, like, why are you assuming that you're human when no one else here is?
He calls her a human, and that actually lines up with what we've seen with the official synopsis, explicitly calling Pomni and the others humans, in contrast to Kane being an AI. Quote from that synopsis: "A woman gets trapped in a crazy virtual world along with 5 other humans and are now subject to the whims of wacky AI and their own personal traumas." Plus, I just personally like the image of a bunch of people strapped into these VR headsets a la Sword Art Online. But all of that being said,
Nah.
I believe that there's a lot of evidence pointing towards these characters being computerized clones rather than
Also, it just makes sense with the way that Glitch has done their jokes before. And if you're wondering, you're like, well, it's written by Gooseworks. Well, guess what? I don't know shit about Gooseworks, but I do know Glitch will know well enough. They're not above making some fuckery and having some storytelling in the way that they do things. And I'm just like, the Glitch feeling right now, how they do their storytelling, just feels like they would ruin and wreck their fucking characters mentally. And what's the best way to destroy the mentality of all these characters? Oh, yeah, you can keep your mentality and you're never gonna get out, but you know what? What's a good way to ruin someone who's already in a ton of mental stress? Completely remove their sense of identity of self. Literal ego death. Just murder. Murder the ego of who you are as a person.
actual humans. For
Just
instance, as
saying.
I mentioned above, Pomni starts going a bit crazy when she sees her desk from the real world in the circus's back rooms. But think, what was actually on that desk? A headset. Pretty clearly a headset that is not on any human's head. And that's not just a thing in the simulation, it's also on the desk in the real world too that we see in the final shot of the pilot. If there's a human trapped in the digital circus here with a headset firmly planted on their head that they can't get off, shouldn't they, be stuck there with the headset on their head? Given the little that we have to go
Yeah.
off of right now, it makes more sense that Pomni put on the headset, had her consciousness copied into the game, and then she just took off the headset to go home. Meanwhile, Pomni in the game can't take it off because she's not a flesh and blood human anymore. She's a digital copy whose memories begin the moment the headset was put on. And even if we're wrong and this desk isn't Pomni's, all the other characters went through this exact same process when they first joined, as Jax hinted at when he sarcastically said,
How do I take this headset off?
Just keep grabbing at it. That works for all of us.
they all tried the exact same thing, and it didn't work for any of them. They're all digital copies
I still believe that Jax is a piece of shit who has some sneaky ass shit going
grasping at a VR
I
headset
just
that
said shit
isn't
far too
there
many times,
anymore.
and
But you know
you
the
know
thing
what?
that
Take a
really
shot every
convinced
time
me
you
of
heard
this
me say the
theory?
word
The
shit.
mannequins. Yeah, did you notice these guys? All throughout the episode, we
Yep.
see several artist mannequins populating the circus. These are the things that
I always thought that they were like Kane's foot soldiers, but I do like his idea of just going, well, they're the things that they imprint themselves on and they get formed into the members. And if you're wondering why are you not letting him explain it, because I can fucking talk.
artists will sometimes buy to help them get references for poses. Most prominently, we see him in the restaurant with Kane and Bubble acting as background characters. But why
I've
would
had
they
a couple
matter?
of
Well,
these.
we know that Kane can create NPCs.
Kane, is this one of your NPCs or is this a new sucker?
So maybe these mannequins are just random, nameless characters that Kane made up to fill in the circus. Maybe, but that just doesn't sit right with me. First off, the dolls are clearly capable of emotions. We see one get upset when Pomni interrupts it taking a bath, silently screaming at Pomni until she slams the door.
That's not silently. Like, it maybe didn't make sound, but that thing was not silent in its emotion. That was. I want to be honest with you. The only thing here that actually maybe raised my blood pressure a little bit was this, because I was like, okay, it's that, but then I saw the face. I was like,
One get upset when Pomni interrupts it taking
oh,
a bath,
fuck
silently screaming at
no!
Pomni until she slams the door. There's something more going on here than just these things being background extras. Take a look at this. When Ragatha is showing Pomni to her room, there are several other doors for other characters in the background. This is actually a great
One
piece
of
of
them was a
world
mannequin,
building.
which
We
is
see that
actually
each of the
very
current
concerning.
characters have themselves their own rooms, as well as several other characters that we haven't met yet. There's this colorful one that I can't quite make out, what looks to be a pinkish purple goo monster, some sort of cute doggo, green and orange anteater looking guy, a black queen.
It's a tube. It's one of those little tube things. I forget what they're called, but you know what the hell they are. They're basically just weird little slinky things.
chess piece that I'm gonna guess is named Queenie seems to be Kinger's counterpart, implying that he didn't come into the simulation alone. Regardless, all of these portraits have giant red X's over them, and that checks out. These are likely characters that have abstracted in the past, just like Kaufmo did. We even see other abstracted creatures in the cellar when Kane banishes Kaufmo. Anyway, along with these past and current characters, we also see several doors with blank mannequins on them. Not just one, but multiple doors. If I had to guess what's
Oh yeah, that actually makes a lot more sense. If it was just that one character, I would have been like, okay, I guess there was just one of them, but there's multiple of them, which now implies, well, these are the stand-ins.
what's going on here? When a new human enters the game, these rooms transform into one that's appropriate for them, and the mannequin on the door transforms into their character. And what's more, I believe that there's a mannequin in the game that also transforms into that character. Right now, they're placeholders, but they get molded into these human copies whenever someone new puts on the headset, and their brain gets scanned into the system. That would fit thematically with the idea of the mannequins to begin with. They're supposed to be used as references and then turned into something real when you're using them for your artwork. That would also fit with the fact that they're on the doors of all these empty rooms, and the characters being scanned clones of human brains would fit the fact that they can't take off their headsets, despite us seeing a headset not being worn at a desk that is clearly meant to be Pomni's. It just all fits with what we've seen from the series so far. In short, the series is gaslighting us. It isn't about a bunch of humans trapped in a simulation, it's about a bunch of human consciousnesses that have been scanned into an AI system and then mapped onto blank mannequin bodies, where the computer can then simulate their human behavior and push their buttons to the breaking point, learning the weaknesses of the human psyche. And then, when they've had too much and abstract out of the system, well, then you just boot up another new simulation and try again. There is no exit door, just an endless loop of torturous tests run by Kane as he tries to understand the human experience. Just like a real circus, all of it is just a big performance. But hey, you know what character in the show that I think is criminally underrated? Bubbles! This adorable little bubble dog
No.
seems like they're willing to eat just
No,
about
there's-
anything, but I
there's-
know for a
don't give them
fact they would
fucking hype.
absolutely love the food from the sponsor of today's episode.
Bro, don't let Bubbles cook. We don't know what the fuck he did. He said all the love he can legally put in there. Bro, I don't want to know what he was able to legally put in there. Cause guess who makes the law in that dimension? Kane. And if Kane's weird ass is the one making the rules, I don't want to know what the fuck he put in my food.
Sunday's dog food. If you've followed the channel for a while, you'll know
What?
that I've always been more of a cat person. But a lot of Team Theorists are dog owners and absolutely adore their
As they
furry
should be.
friends. And so when I told them about Sundays, they loved what Sundays was all about. Why wouldn't they be? Sundays is basically the best dog food in the digital multiverse. Unlike a lot of other brands, all of Sunday's dog food is human grade. You see, the whole company was started by a vet who wanted the food her dog ate to be as nutritious as a real home-cooked meal. That means no hyper-processed chemicals or synthetic vitamins.
shit.
If you look at the label, you're actually going to be able to pronounce everything that's going into Sundays because it's all the stuff that you're already likely eating yourself. And unlike other healthy dog foods, Sundays requires no prep, no defrosting, and no cleanup. All it requires is a dog to enjoy eating it, which
That's
honestly
actually
shouldn't be
pretty
that
fucking
hard. It's
vibey.
already hard-coded into the game system. For example, one of our team members, Rachel, volunteered to let us film her pup Stevie trying the food out for the first time. And the results just really speak for themselves. Look at this. Even though Stevie is super shy around new people, as soon as we broke out the Sunday, she really opened up and basically started drooling despite all the new
Okay,
faces
so
with
first
cameras.
off,
And just look at her go into that
cute
food.
dog.
I'm not sure I've ever loved anything I've eaten quite as much as this dog is loving that.
Oh yeah, he did look at the weird vomit, which was also abstraction colored. Now that I think about it, yeah, no, it was straight up abstraction colored vomit. Huh. Good point, Kraken.
Sundays. If you want to give your dog this awesome vet-created dog food made from real ingredients that you'd actually find on your own dinner plate, you can get 35% off your first order by clicking the link in the pinned comment below and then using our code FILMTHEORY at checkout. Once again, that's 35% off your first order by going to the link in the pinned comment below and then using the code FILMTHEORY
Yeah, no,
at
it was
checkout.
abstraction colored.
FILMTHEORY. Thanks again to Sundays for sponsoring this episode, and as always, my friends, remember, it's all just a theory. A film theory.
Thanks
And
for
cut.
watching. Oh, he did the end cut. Okay, never mind. Anyways, everybody, get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna be doing more videos, but we're about to do something stupid where I call this number that I got mysteriously because I don't know who the fuck, I don't know where the hell this is gonna send me. So, we'll see what's happening. Anyways.